Hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you might be joining us from in the world today. My name is Meg Alexander. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am incredibly excited to get to host another Power to Fly Chat and Learn virtual event. In case anybody wants it or needs it, visual descriptor, I'm a 40-year-old white woman. I have pink, purple, and blue hair, and I'm wearing blue glasses and a big white t-shirt. Now, we are here today to discuss earning more and stressing less, understanding your relationship with money. I've been very much looking forward to this chat, so I hope y'all are too. Now, before we dive in and introduce you to our speaker, I just really quickly want to flash our code of conduct on the screen here. It looks like a big, scary wall of legalese, but what it boils down to is don't act like a jerk, okay? Like it says on the wall, y'all are welcome here, but you got to act right. So, as long as we operate from a place of kindness and respect, it's pretty hard to go wrong from there. But if you want further details on this, you have any particular questions, you can always ask in the chat. You can DM me in the drop-down menu in case you want to chat but don't want anybody else to see it. And then if you have further details or questions you want to know, you can always reach out to our help desk inbox. That email address is hi at powertofly.com. All right. Now, this is some real quick housekeeping. This will be especially important for you if today is your first event with Power to Fly. And if that's the case, hey, welcome. We're so happy to meet you. Now, the love is no less real for my frequent flyers. So whether this is your first event or your 40th, we are still so happy to see you. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend with Power to Fly. Now, the big thing to know about Power to Fly events is participation. You are absolutely encouraged to make the most of this time with us, and you can do that in a couple different ways. If you'd like, you're always encouraged to turn your cameras on, share your smiling, maskless faces with us safely. But there is no need to look Instagram perfect, okay? Just because I got real fancy and like put in, I think, more dry shampoo today, doesn't mean that you can't come to us from your living room couch, kitchen tables, makes no difference, okay? Three-piece suit or bathrobe, we all learn the same. So thank you so much for showing up with us today, y'all. Now we are recording this session. We're also live streaming to YouTube. Hi, YouTube. And what that means for all of you is you don't have to take notes. You get to sit back, relax, enjoy the conversation that I'm about to have with Erika, and not worry if you miss a link that's shared or a resource that's listed. So what that means is in about 4 to 5 business days, Power to Fly is going to email everybody that registered for today's event. So even if you didn't join us live, you'll still get the heads up. We will email you with a link to where you can watch this video when it goes live on powertofly.com. Now, like I said, we are live streaming to YouTube currently. So if you're watching us from there, hi, welcome. And if you, let's say that Erika says something today completely unbelievably mind-blowing, and you don't want to wait 4 to 5 business days to share this recording with a friend or a relative or a coworker, you don't have to. You can head over to our YouTube channel. I'll share links for all of this in the chat thread as we go. I'm a one-woman operation today, so hold your horses on links. They'll be going into the chat as we speak. But what you can do is check out the link that I'm going to post. You can head over there. There's a very like kind of best of hits from some of our greatest chat and learn events are hosted there. But y'all, the real motherload is on the website. That is where all of our resources live. They are completely free. We want to get them in the hands of as many people as possible because that's how we feel like we're going to move the needle when it comes to things like pay equity and gender parity in the workforce. So please feel free to take advantage of those resources. The other thing is, if you are here and you have a question that you want to ask, you want us to go in deeper on detail on something, please feel free to let us know in the chat, okay? I've got eyes in there the entire time. In fact, I'm starting to see everybody say hi and welcome. So I'll have eyes in there the entire time. If you have any questions you want to ask, feel free to send them in. If you have questions that you want raised, but you want to be kept anonymous, that's okay. Just DM me and I will make sure that you stay anonymous. Now, I'm very excited to introduce you to our speaker today. Erika Dox-Martinez is a financial wellness coach, speaker, and founder of Blissful Vita. Now, Erika helps professionals move beyond the basics of budgeting to understand what it really is driving their financial stress, including the beliefs, patterns, and inherited messages that quietly shape how they earn, spend, and save. She coaches from lived experience, knowing firsthand what it feels like to earn well and still feel financially stuck. And she's built her work around helping others to make that same shift from stress and avoidance into clarity, confidence, and peace with their money. Now, Erica's work has led her to collaborate with organizations including BNP Paribas, Ponce Bank, YWCA, ALPFA, Learn in Latinas, United Women in Business, Luminary, and more, reaching across diverse professionals through various in the industries. Erica, thank you so much for
Yeah.
joining us today. Is there anything else you'd like our audience members to know about you before we dive into questions?
Thank you for having me so much. I love this space. Power to Fly sounds amazing. And the name, we're going to work on our money and learn to power to fly and lean into being more confident with our money and stressing less around money. So I will share a little bit more about myself when I start the presentation.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to be here in the background. If y'all have any questions, Erica has a presentation for everybody, and then we'll go into Q&A towards the end of today's event. I'll have my eyes in the chat the entire time. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask them. I will grab all of them. And if you need anything, I'll be here.
Yeah. Thank you. I just need to share my slides and then we can get started. Perfect. Hi, everybody. It was so good to see so many beautiful faces. Can you let me know? I guess with a thumbs up, can you see my slides?
Looks great.
Yes. Awesome. All right. So, hey, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad you're here today. And just mean that because out of everything that you could be doing right now, you chose to sit through a conversation about money, right? A taboo topic, an uncomfortable one, and one that's a big source of stress, right? So today we're going to work on shifting the narrative around money to a more blissful one where financial freedom feels good and feels attainable. And if that sounds good to you, then you're in the right room. All right. So before we go anywhere, I want to ask you something. Again, this is going to be interactive so we can have some fun while we're talking about money. So I want to know if you ever felt like no matter how much you earn, it will never feel like enough. Put a yes in the chat. Or no matter how much you think you will earn in the future, it will never be enough. So see some yeses. And welcome all of you from everywhere, Canada, Georgia, Orlando. Hi, Melissa. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so look at that. I want to know who knows what YA and A means. Let me know in the chat if you know what YA and A means. Let me see. So if I'm looking over here, it's the chat. Anyone know YANA? Because it is real. It means you are not alone. So just wanted to let you know that, and not even close. You can see that by the yeses in the chat. And that's the first thing I need you to hear today, because the isolation around money is the part of what keeps us stuck. And I need you to see that you're not the only one who feels or thinks the way you do about money. So please remember, Yana means you are not alone. That came from Lisa Nichols, by the way. I didn't kind of make that acronym up, but it's just an acronym. But I want to tell you something else today, something that I believe with everything I have. You are not here by accident, right? You register for this workshop because something in you is ready to stop letting money be the thing that keeps you up at night, ready to stop avoiding the app or the spreadsheets, ready to stop feeling like something is wrong with you when nothing is wrong with you. So you're here because you're ready to take control of your money and to fund your most blissful life, your most blissful vida, and you deserve that. So who am I to tell you that, right? You might ask. I'm someone who's been where you are. I was earning well, making good money, and stressing even more about my money. So my name is Erika Dox-Martinez. I'm a financial wellness coach and the founder and CEO of Blissful Vida. So I work with professionals, particularly Latinas and people of color, who are earning good money at their 9 to 5s, but still feel behind. They are still feeling stressed, still overwhelmed, and avoiding their money, even though they feel that they should be further along. And I help them reduce their shame and take their power back with their money, but from the inside out. And I want to share what the real problem is, because this is what most financial contexts won't tell you and why a lot of you are here. This financial stress does not disappear with a bigger paycheck. And I know this because it happened to me. I spent over 20 years in financial services, working for Deloitte, BDO, Bank of New York Mellon. So working on finances and taxes and money. So you would think I would have my money game tight, right? Especially once I was making 6 figures. So I did know more about money than most people in my life, but I still avoided my accounts. I had no real system and no savings, and I was carrying over $100,000 in debt at one point, and a lot of that was credit card debt, not just student loans. And I carried that all quietly while looking like I had it all together from the outside. So, how many of us are quietly sitting in that shame about how we feel about our money and feeling like we're all alone? So, remember, Yana, you are not alone. And what I did think is that when I made more money, all my problems were going to go away, that would fix my problems, but it didn't, because I want you to hear this: income was never the problem. The problem is our relationship with money and what's running the show behind the scenes. Because you can have the greatest budget and the best financial plans in the world, but they're not going to stick if the stories and the patterns and the habits that you have about money are working against you. So we'll get into all of that. But before we do, I'd like for you all to take a breath with me. Like, seriously. If you feel called to, take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, because it's about to get real up in here. And I know talking about money is not one of the easiest things. So keep breathing in and out. And I want to share something with you really quickly about this space, because I love to create safe spaces. And I want you to know that this is a safe space and you do not have to perform in this room. You do not have to pretend that you have it all figured out. And the people who get the most out of today are going to be the ones who give themselves permission to be honest. So that is the only thing I'm asking of you as we continue. All right, here we go. So I'm going to share some financial habits that I used to have and that are common with my clients. And if any of them resonate, I would love for you to put a 1 in the chat. So remember, there's no judgment here. This is a safe space. So play along with me. Put a 1 in the chat if you avoid checking your accounts. And this is not because you do not care, but because the not knowing feels safer than what you might see, right? All right, put a 1 in the chat if you have tried different tactics, maybe apps, maybe you read the books, you noted the tricks that you're hearing online from these influencers, and none of it sticks. See, ones. Perfect. Put a 1 in the chat if you earn well at your 9 to 5, but have little to show for it. And that gap that you have there creates shame that you quietly have and that you're not saying out loud. So loving seeing all the ones. Thank you for being here and being honest. And put a 1 in the chat if every time you see someone else talk about their financial wins, you think, what am I missing? Why does everyone else have this figured out? Or it seems that way. Maybe all the things you see on social media, these people living their best lives, like, how are they doing that? Why is that not my life, right? So I hope you see by all the ones in the chat that you're not alone in feeling any of these things about money, right? Yana, right? So put Yana in the chat anytime you feel like it, but just know you're not alone. And it's not an intelligence problem. You're all smart and capable. It's not a discipline problem. But again, this is a relationship with money problem. And there are stories, beliefs, and patterns that are running the show. And at the end of this session, I'm going to share with you a way to find out exactly which of your patterns is running the show with a free money blind spot quiz that's only available to you all in the room because it's not even on my website yet. So look out for that later. But now let's get into why our relationship with money is so messed up with some money truths. You ready? All right. So money truth number 1 is that you didn't get a financial education. You got a financial inheritance. They don't teach us financial literacy in school. Well, I didn't get any financial literacy in school, so let me know if you did in the chat. But I think that they're bringing this more into the schools now. But back in our day, we brought in stories. We had to get it. We inherited financial stories from what we saw. So you learn these stories before you earn your first dollar, before you get your first job, before your first paycheck. You already had a story about money that you did not choose, that you did not write, and that was handed to you. And it came from what you watched at the kitchen table, maybe, what you heard through the walls late at night, what was whispered about, what was never taught, or what was never talked about at all, right? The way that your family handled money when things got hard. And it doesn't only come from our family. It comes from systems, from our culture, from society that has a lot to say about how to spend your money. and who gets to build wealth and who does not. And just those messages have been running in the background your entire life, whether you know it or not. You absorbed it all, and we're still running on that original code. So even now, maybe at the income that you're earning now or your career stage, you're earning a decent amount, but it always feels like it's quite never enough. Now, let's see why. What did you inherit? I would like for you to drop one word in the chat. What did money mean in the house that you grew up? One word, whatever comes up first. I'll give you a second while I catch up on the chat. Power. So power is a good one if you saw that growing up in the house. Safety. Some say evil, wary, right? Mine, I'll share more about mine later, but mine is struggle. I saw a lot of struggling in my household when I was growing up. Some say evil. Money is the root of all evil, right? So it meant freedom, but it also seen as a disease to be avoided. More money meant sacrificing time with my family. Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that. And a lot of my clients share similar sentiments, and a lot revolve around stress, survival. Like I say, my answers just came here to put food on the table and a roof over our heads, not to become rich, right? But in the hopes that we would attain the American dream, like their families, their kids, their grandkids. Another one is secrets. We don't talk about money, right? That's a big one in my house. Maybe you saw fighting growing up, which a lot of times would cause us to think that having more money means more problems. So if you think you saw fighting growing up, you're going to think, hey, if I have more money, that's going to cause problems and I'll be fighting in my own relationships. So I hope that's landing some of these words. Scarcity, because there's never enough, right? Maybe you heard money doesn't grow on trees, or we can't afford that. And one that's not on here that's really big is shame, right? So we did not make those words up as adults. We inherited them. And here's what is real. Like most of us have been trying to build financial freedom on top of a foundation that was never designed for us to hold it. And that is not your fault. So I want you to know that it's not your fault, but it is your obligation to look at these. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now today. Scarcity. Yes. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. I appreciate it. So we're going to go into the first habit, and this is about awareness before anything else. So what I would like for you to do is pause and notice. That's habit number one. Before you make a financial decision this week, big or small, pause and notice the feeling underneath it. Is it any of the ones that you mentioned in the chat? Is it fear? Is it guilt? Is it scarcity? Is it obligation? So just notice the feeling that's behind it, and that story. Just know that that story has a source, right? And maybe you could tie it back to something that you experienced. And you don't have to fix it today. I just want you to start noticing these things, because awareness is key, right? And the moment you start seeing these things, it starts to lose its grip, because these stories too that you inherited, they're most powerful when they're invisible, because you're not aware of what's going on. So I just want to show you how this showed up in my life really quickly. A financial decision I was not making before I started being more intentional with my money was that I was not saving money. And another was that I did not have a plan to pay off my debt. So the word I leaned into about money, like I mentioned before, is struggle. That's what I saw a lot growing up. Struggling was normal in my family. I grew up in a household where money was not used responsibly, and my dad would call us Puerto Ricans all the time. So I'm Puerto Rican, but he would call us Puerto Ricans, meaning people like us don't get rich. Like we're meant to struggle, we're meant to be poor. And that became my foundation. And if I'm sharing any of these stories, please think about what's coming up for you, and jot down your stories too if any of them resonate. So this story became my foundation. Like my belief was struggling with money is normal for people like us. People like us will never get rich. And I carried that belief all the way into my six-figure career. So when the income went up, the belief did not change, but my results didn't either. And I continued to struggle. So I had no savings and lots of debt until I decided to believe that struggling is not normal anymore, and that people like me could actually thrive with money and become wealthy. So if you want to thrive with money and become wealthy too, put thrive in the chats. Thrive, thrive, thrive. Yes. I want us all to thrive with money. If you're here, I'm assuming that's why you're here. So let's go. And it's possible to work on this, right? But you have to catch your beliefs and start choosing better ones and then taking action from that aligned place. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later because you cannot outbudget a belief system. I'm going to say that again. You cannot outbudget a belief system because your beliefs and your stories and your patterns are running the show. So thank you for all you thrivers. All right, so we're going to move on to money truth number 2. Avoidance feels like protection, but it's actually keeping you stuck. So I want to tell you something about someone I worked with. So I have a client. She was really good earning money at her 9 to 5, the first in her family to make so much money. And she was the kind of person as well that people looked at her and thought she has to have it all together. She makes so much money, but she had not looked at her bank accounts or her budgets in months. And not because she didn't care to, but because she cared so much that it paralyzed her. And she even used to send me this gift whenever I texted her about our initial call. So I'll be like, hey, set up your call. We got to talk about your money. And that was her response. So she said to me, Erica, I know it's bad. I just can't make myself look. So we did it together. And I do hear that often. And if you feel that too, I want you to understand that it's not weakness, right? There are all these negative connotations about money, but it's your nervous system responding. And your brain is deciding that the not knowing is less painful than what it might confirm. So it protected her from looking, right? So if you feel that, someone said I could relate, perfect. So you're not alone in that either. And it's just that the thing that felt like safety was actually keeping her stuck and costing her probably thousands of dollars because she's not looking at what she's doing and she's not having a plan. So here's what happened when she finally looked. The number was almost exactly what she expected. It wasn't as bad as she thought, but something shifted completely when she saw it because she felt less shame and less dread. And she told me, like, it's not about the number. It was about the not knowing that made her even more crazy. And now she has the power and she came up to move forward with a better plan. So she was able to look at it like, okay, what does this number look like? Now, what do I want to do? And we're going to talk about all of that as well. So I want you to sit with something for just 30 seconds. And you can keep this completely private unless you want to share. But what is one thing you have been avoiding or not looking at when it comes to your money? So what just popped into your head when I'm asking? What have you been avoiding? What are you not looking at when it comes to your money? So I want you to just notice what came to mind. Hold on to that and jot it down for yourself, unless you want to share in this chat. So thank you. Student loans, credit card debt, account balance, spending. Amazing. So thank you for being so brave and sharing it. All right. So whatever came up for you, if you don't put it in the chat, please jot it down because you're going to have some homework. Collection set, mobile money balance, spending. Amazing. Collection set. So thank you for being honest and vulnerable. So whatever came up, please know, like, that's not fair. It's just information. And that is your starting point, right? So now you're aware this is something that, hey, maybe I should look at this because it's what came up for me. All right. So here's the part most people miss. They think that the number is the scary thing, but it's not. I want you to switch that over. The not knowing is the scary thing because the moment you actually see it, hopefully the anxiety will drop a little bit or use some tools that could help you with the anxiety because anxiety is a feeling and feelings are valid, right? So maybe the breath work would help. I have meditation sometimes I use to kind of get us all grounded before we start looking at money work with my clients. And, I want you to deal with reality, not your imagination's worst version of it. And looking at it and knowing what's going on with your money, that also helps you feel more confident with your money too. And it costs you less in the long run. As you keep postponing these things that you should be looking at, it might be costing you to keep putting it off, right? So habit number 2 is to schedule a date with your money. So I want you literally take out your phone right now, open your calendar and block out 15 to 30 minutes this week to do the thing that you just jotted down. So Melissa is in my space, so I know she has a date with money and coming up on Monday. So maybe she'll look at her credit card debt. Everyone else, literally take out your phone and please put it in your calendar. So I call this money dates with dinero in my community. It's a scheduled time to work on your money tasks. So I know if you're anything like me, if it's not in my calendar, it's not happening. So that's why I'm asking you to put the date in your calendar. Definitely. 7-Eleven is my money date. Perfect. I love it. Um, all right. And I want to say too, you have that one in there, right? But if you feel called to, make it a weekly or a monthly habit because the goal is to make looking feel normal until the not looking stops feeling safe, right? And you rewire the avoidance in your brain to feel like avoidance, that's not what I want to do. I want to make it safer for me to feel that it's okay to look. And the more you do it, the better. And, if you want to find community to do it around, feel free. I actually host dates with dinero, literally these dates where you can do that. So you can let me know if that's something you're interested in. All right. So does everyone have their dates? If you're open to it, I would love for you to share it in the chat like Melissa did. When did you schedule your date? Share the chat. Friday after work. Awesome. Anyone else? Thursdays are my dates. Brian, did you have dates before or you were already doing these? I'd love to know. Wednesdays after work. Amazing. And I wanted to also say if you know anyone in here in the chat, so I know Melissa, so I can be like, hey, Melissa, a Monday night, maybe I could text her and say, hey, did you do your money date, right? If you know anyone here, maybe you could hold them accountable. I challenge you to ask them if they stuck to their date. Or also if you can get an accountability buddy for this, be like, hey, why don't we do this together? The 15th of every month. Amazing. So accountability works wonders for avoidance too. So just want to share that. Thank you for sharing all of that in the chat. I love it. All right. So we're going to go on to the third money truth. You can't tell your money where to go if you don't know where it went yet. So I want to ask you something before we get into the nitty gritty of that. What is one thing you spend money on that you never regret? So something that brings you actual joy and bliss that you're like, no guilt, no second guessing. It's just like, I love this thing. It's a need for you, but you actually enjoy it. Fitness, great. I love it. Travel or Lego. Oh, Legos. I just bought my husband oh my God, what's his name? Keith Haring Lego set and built it for him. It's really cool. Fitness, coffee. Coffee's great. Yeah, this is a good one. French fries. I love it. Love it. Meditation, my children. Yes, coffee. Fresh flowers weekly. I love it. All right. So thank you for sharing that so much. And for me, it's more like maybe I have to go get like a mani pedi once a month. So that's in there for me for my blissful spending. So I just wanted to share that these are the things that actually matter to you. It came up, right? This is blissful spending. And I want you to know everything that you wrote down in there should stay when it comes to when you're planning for your money. But the problem is everything else, like the $80 that left your account last Tuesday that you can't account for. Like, where did that money go? I have no idea. That's more where I want to focus on here. The subscriptions that you forgot you had that you're not using and you're still paying for. Who's guilty of that? I cancel subscriptions all the time. Looking at my spending, I'm like, what the hell is this? Am I using it? Do I need it? Let's get it out of there and put it towards something else, right? So the spending that happened because you were exhausted or overwhelmed, and it was the only thing you could control in that moment, right? So it's not planning. So those are the leaks. Your money leaks. I double paid for Hulu 4 years. Oh my goodness, right? Definitely catching things, right? When you're actually looking, which is what we're going to talk about, it's like looking at where your money is going, right? So we want to focus on these money leaks, and I want you to be more aware of those because, again, it's not a discipline problem, it's an awareness problem. And you get to see where your money is going, and you get to also choose where your money goes. And for where your money goes, I want to ask you in the chat, what is the helpful tool that starts with the letter B, that's the dreaded word that comes along with money? So share that with me in the chat. The B word. Budgeting. Yes. Yes, that's the dreaded B word. So we're going to replace that B word, budget. We're going to replace it with a B phrase instead. And that's a blissful spending plan. Okay. So most people who hate budgets, they hate them because every budget they probably ever tried felt like punishment and restriction, right? Like someone standing over their shoulder saying, mm-mm, no. And that version of budgeting, I understand why it doesn't work, right? So a blissful spending plan is something different. It's a plan that you make in advance that says, here's what matters to me. My fitness, my children, Legos, flowers. Like you put that into your budget. So you have the things that you enjoy in there and you're telling your money, hey, this is where I want to spend my money and everything else we can talk about. And so it's not about saying no, but it's about saying yes to the things that you want to, allocate your money to. It's about saying yes on purpose. And that's what makes it blissful and not dreadful. So I like to shift the narrative to a budget or a blissful spending plan not being something that's quote unquote, annoying or bad or restrictive. So you don't need to restrict yourself. You can create a system that makes your priorities visible so that the money leaves your hands going somewhere you actually choose, but you're giving every dollar a job, right? So your habit number 3 is to track your spending first and foremost. Then you could create your blissful spending plan. So again, you could catch things like I think it was Meg who said, yeah, Meg caught that she was paying for Hulu for 4 years. I catch things too when I'm tracking my spending. So I go in and I look sometimes, especially when I order things and then I don't get them. So that's when the last time I tracked my spending, I caught that. I was like, hey, I never got these things I ordered. I spent money on this, but I never got the product. So then I have to email people. You catch subscriptions that you might be paying for that you don't want anymore. So I want you to go back 1 month, look at what you actually spent, and you can use an app to do this. You can use a spreadsheet. You can use pen and paper. It doesn't matter. Whatever you will actually do is what I want you to do just for 1 month and go back. And the point of this, again, is to see where your money went. Because once you see where your money goes, you can build your budget or your blissful spending plan using that information as a guide. Like that's your baseline, right? So you get to decide, do you want your money to continue to go where it went or not, right? You get to tell your money where to go next month instead of wondering where it went. So again, remember, give all of your money a job. And just sharing, like if you find something that surprises you, that's not a reason for shame. That's exactly the information you needed for you to make a better choice, right? So question in the chat, what do you think most of my clients are shocked to find out that they spend more money on than they think? So when they're tracking their spending, what do you think they're just like totally shocked that a lot of their money is going to? Fast food, eating out, food. Yes, it is food. Groceries sometimes, gas, because gas prices has gone up. So I'm assuming. So anything else? What are people shocked that they spend the most money on? Subscriptions and clothes. So definitely is coffee and food and eating out. So those really surprise people a lot of the time. So I think you don't know really. You think you're only spending X amount on food or coffee, but you don't really know until you actually go in and track. So um, so they're spending more money on coffee and food, wondering why. A lot of times too, they can't save, and there's no shade in that because I have been there. But awareness is the only way through. So I hope you can see why it's helpful for you to go back and just look at where your money has been going and make sure that you put into your blissful spending plan the things, your non-negotiables that you want to stay there, the ones that you told me that were blissful, that bring you bliss, but also make sure you're taking care of your goals too, right? We're creating a budget or a blissful spending plan that gives you control over where your money goes because you get to decide, right? So tracking my spending is something I do at every Dates with Dinero session that I schedule in, just FYI. Online courses too. Yeah, you might be surprised. I'm surprised how much money I spend on coaching as well. So just to revisit this, budgets and blissful spending plans are not a punishment. We want to reframe this, right? They actually create freedom and confidence as you work towards your goals because you're now in control. So put I'm in control in the chat if this is landing for you. Procrastinating, all about it. I'm in control. I'm in control. So if this is landing for you, I'm in control. I am wanting to be in control. I am in control. Perfect. Sherman, thank you. You are going to be in control. I'm soon going to be in control. Yes. Well, you get to decide, right? And that's what the next portion is about. So I just want to share really quickly, financial stress isn't only about your relationship with money, but it's also about your relationship with yourself. So I'm going to ask you some honest questions. So think about these. If you want to answer in the chat, it's totally up to you. Are you doing what you need to do to have the things that you want? I want you to sit with that for a second. Are you doing what you need to do to have the things you want? Have a no. Yeah. So why or why not? Do you believe that you can? And if so, think about who you have to be or who you have to become or what do you have to believe to do what you need to do to have the things you want. So I think you notice I'm using be, do, have a lot in these statements because this is a framework that I want to leave you with. Amazing. So this is going to help you with all the no's and sometimes. So it changes everything about how you take action, right? Aligned action, I mentioned before. And again, you cannot out budget a belief system. But most of us were taught to think about things backwards, especially when it comes to money. Let me know if this is what you thought. Once I have more money, then I can do the things that feel aligned. And then I will become the person who does better with money, right? So that's have, then be, then do, and then be. But it doesn't work that way. Like it never has. So here's the order that actually creates change. You decide who you are being or becoming first, then you take action from that identity, and the having follows, and then you'll have what you want. So if you remember, be, do, have, and I'll show you exactly what I mean because I live this. And the day that changed my whole financial trajectory was the day that I got engaged in 2012 at the Grand Canyon. So I was so excited and so happy. But when I got back home to New Jersey, reality hit. So I was sitting with my laptop, looking up all the things wedding, venues, cakes, and the dresses. And oh my God, the dresses, right? The ones I dreamt of, like when I was a little girl. And I realized I don't have any money at all for this dream wedding, right? And you already know my Puerto Rican daddy was not paying for any of it, right? So my struggle was real, and I let that struggle belief that I mentioned earlier run the show for way too long. So this was my aha moment. This was my, this opened my eyes to like, hey, I need to get my stuff together. So I scheduled a date with my dinero, with my money, and I got honest with myself. Yes, sometimes you need time, not money. So I'm gonna show you how long it took for me to achieve these goals. So I asked myself, what do I want to have? So start with that for yourself. What is it that you want to have? And then what is it that I have to do? So what is it you have to do? And what do I have to believe to have my dream wedding? Right? So I know I wanted to have $10,000 to pay for my wedding. So my husband was going to save 10,000, I was going to save 10,000. And I did not want to bring any debt into my marriage. So that means this wedding was not going on any credit cards or anything like that. I wanted to pay down my debt while I was saving for this wedding. So what did I have to do? I'd have to create a blissful spending plan. I'd have to research where do I save this money? What would give me the best return on my investment? So I researched and I opened a high yield savings account. I had to automate money into my bank account. So I put $140 a paycheck into this account automatically. So out of sight, out of mind. And I had to create a real plan to pay off my debt. So in order to have the things what I wanted, these are the things I needed to do. But here's the real question. How does a Puerto Rican do any of that? So maybe you're asking yourself that too. So I had to be and become someone who believed that she did not have to struggle with money anymore. So this is a part where you take your beliefs, your word, your thoughts, what you grew up with, and we're going to turn it and spin it on its head because we do not have to live from that space anymore. So I needed to become someone who actually followed through on what she said she was going to do and step into that version of me, of her now, right? Now I need to be that person who thrives with money instead of struggles with money. And that person that thrives will do the things, will open the bank accounts, will automate, will stick to a plan because I want to have the things that I want to have in the future, right? I hope that's landing. Let me know if that's landing in the chat. Just put a one in the chat. So I also had to be someone who said no to my friends when they asked, hey, do you want to go on vacation? Do you want to go to this fancy dinner? Do you want to do XYZ? I had to say, hey, I can't do that. I had to allow budget, right? And that's a share. Hey, I'm saving $10,000 for my wedding right now. So I'm sorry, that's not a priority for me anymore. But before I used to drop of a dime. You call me, let's go on vacation. Sure, let's go. Whether I had the money or not, because I didn't have the vision. I was like, oh, well, it's fine. I'll just put it on my credit card because struggling with money is normal. That's okay if I have more debt, right? So just timeline. Sometimes you need time, not money. Anya, thank you for sharing that. 3 years later, it took me 3 years to save $10,000. And my wedding was paid for in cash. We used the money from the wedding to fund our honeymoon. So no debt came from me getting married. And a year after the wedding, I became debt free. So all that money that I used to pay to the creditors was suddenly mine again. And I started saving it and investing it because I was a person who's thriving with their money now. So I had to figure all that out. Don't know everything, right? So just wanted to share that. You can learn as you go, lean on people, ask for help. Like it's okay. But I got to decide if people called me, hey, you want to go on this vacation? Hey, you want to go to this dinner? I got to look at my money and decide, do I want to spend that on that or not? And not feel, any sort of guilt around it, either way, right? So I had the power of choice. I had control of my money. And that was financial freedom to me. It wasn't a number. I wasn't a millionaire, but I was no longer living paycheck to paycheck. And I want you to have financial freedom too. And you might still feel like you need a little more clarity on what could be holding you back from relieving the financial stress and achieving your version of financial freedom. So most of us, thank you for sharing that. Most of you cannot see clearly like what's in your own way sometimes when it comes to money. And it's not because we're not smart enough or self-aware, but sometimes we're just too close to it, right? So remember earlier, I said I would show you how to find out exactly which patterns is running your money show. And I want to share here it is. So this is exactly why I created the Money Blind Spot quiz, is to help you get real clarity on what's the number one thing that's running your show when it comes to money. So maybe it's avoidance. We already talked about that pattern earlier today, but maybe it's the stories that you inherited that you've been telling yourself without realizing it. So remember, my story is struggling with money is normal. Is yours similar? What's the underlying story? Maybe you do not need a mindset shift at all. Maybe you're like, I already feel like I'm in this person, but maybe you need a better system or a better plan. Like that's another option. Or maybe you've been prioritizing everyone else's needs before your own. Who's guilty of that? Taking care of everyone else besides yourself, right? Sherman, I see you shaking your head, right? Yes. So look, Kennard, you just put that in. Helping people is good, but it set me back. Yes. I love it. I love it. All right. So if you take this quiz and you want to find out, it's free and it's not even available on my website yet. You're the first ones to have access to this. So I hope you take advantage of it. I'm going to share the link in the chat. Let me see how I pull it. Okay. Give me one sec. I got it.
Take your time. You're doing great.
Yay. All right. So here you go. And I want to see how many of you are already on it. So as soon as you click the link or scan the QR code, drop quiz in the chat and make sure you get back into it later. You could do it. It just takes a few minutes. And again, this quiz just will help you walk away with some clarity around what's holding you back. And then you'll get your results in the inbox, read them slowly, have some grace and compassion for yourself. I think that's another piece of the puzzle when it comes to money work, right? A lot of people feel bad, feel shamed, but no, you're here. That means that you're ready. But also, we all did the best that we could with what we knew. And now when we know better, we do better, right? So just look at the results. You're welcome. There's a reason you got the result, and it connects to a lot of the things we talked about today, right? So thank you for that if you're participating. And before I let you go, I just want to tell you something I believe with everything I have, because they do not expect us to thrive. They built systems that were not designed for us. They talk money jargon that we just don't understand. And we got passed down stories that are keeping us small. And they make money feel like it's for other people, not for people like us. But you're here today, right? You're showing up and refusing to let that be your story. And I want to share that is not small. That is powerful. That is power. Now go fly. right? So you have the power to fly. So just want you, what a great name, right? So that's what we're hosted by Power to Fly, all of you. And really quickly, I started Blissful Vida because I needed it. And it didn't exist for people like me. I needed someone who looked like me and had been where I've been to say, you can get out of this. You can build something real. You can fund the blissful vida, the blissful life that you want. And you need money to do that. So you want to take care of your loved ones. Maybe you want to give back to your community. You want to make the world a little better than you found it. And this world needs a lot of help. So, but I want to share money is not the goal. Money is the tool that funds everything that matters to you. And you are capable of building it. So I want you to hear that. You are capable. So again, this is what I want you to do. Take the quiz, find out what's holding you back, what's your money mind spot, and it will give you clarity on what's holding you back and where to start. And two, please, if you did not do it yet, put your money date in your calendar right now. Schedule in some time to do the work that you just dotted down from the session. There's probably a lot of things on your to-do list. So if you schedule the time, that would be amazing. And lastly, become the person who believes that you can do all of this, even if you do it slowly, even imperfectly, even if you have to keep starting over. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. Like we're all human, right? So you came in here today carrying a story about money that was never really yours, and a story that was handed to you before you even knew what money was, by your family, systems, a world that has a lot to say about who gets to have financial peace of mind and who doesn't. And you do not have to walk out the same way. So you get to decide starting today who you are in relation to your money. So let's work on not being the person who avoids, not being the person who inherited scarcity, not the person who gives to everyone else first and never gets to themselves. You could be the person who looks and who chooses to build something that actually reflects what you have worked so hard to earn. The person who thrives, especially when they don't expect us to. So all of that to say, this is the work that helps reduce the stress, and that version of you that you're feeling who can achieve all this has always been there. And today you just got a little bit closer. So I will see you all soon. Thank you for being here. Here's how to connect with me. And I want to thank Power to Fly for creating this space to chat and learn about topics that help more of us thrive and fly, especially around money. Like money is such a taboo topic. We're not talking about it, but we're normalizing more money conversations. So please, anything you learned from today, share it with your loved ones too. Like the more we talk about this, the more normal it is. It's okay. More of us need to have this information so that more of us can be winning the game of money and living and funding our most blissful vidas. So thank you so much. We can move to Q&A when you're ready. And I
Yeah,
hope
of
to see you all
course.
soon.
Oh yeah. Well, so as I was listening, I was honestly participating more than I usually do get to do in these chats. So that was really fun for me. Thank you for that.
You're
Um,
welcome.
no, as you were talking, the like limiting beliefs around money and stuff, like as I was kind of thinking back, there's probably a lot of those that I have. Around the idea of kind of like what what smart people do with their money versus what the rest of us are supposed to do. Like I don't consider myself smart, kind of stuff like that. And so I really appreciate the kind of, dedicated time to be like, no, 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 no. Let's actually think about that and then realize, no, that's not true. So we can leave that in the past.
Yeah.
Um, if someone is struggling financially, I mean, I don't think I'm alone in this. I think we all are feeling this the pinch a bit. And I've got a lot of friends who are kind of all in the same boat. If you are talking to somebody who is struggling financially, a lot of the things that people are talking about doing are things like cutting expenses, obviously, luxuries, that kind of thing, increasing your income or building additional skills. So I hear from a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I'll pick up DoorDash or, Shipt or something like that." What do you if somebody is in that position and they are kind of juggling these ideas or these options, where should we focus to start?
Yeah, I think honestly, looking at your spending can help a lot because, again, the money leaks. Find the money leaks first. So where is that money just going without you realizing it? So that would help first and foremost. Cutting expenses has a ceiling, right? There's only so much you can cut. Also, like I would negotiate some of the expenses that you do have. So maybe cell phone, call your companies, internet companies. I'm trying to think.
And if
One of
you're
my
younger than
clients,
millennials and you're scared of being on the phone, y'all,
oh my
just bite the
God.
bullet. It'll be okay. I promise you, it's not as scary as you think. If you say something out of turn, like out of hand or whatever, like you can always hang up and try again. Okay, there's 4 million customer service people. No one cares. You can call
Yeah,
them and
no,
ask. It's all right.
such a good point. Um, Other things, I'm trying to think. One of my clients negotiated her rent. She was coming, her lease was coming up, and she asked, "Hey, can I get 1 month free? I see you're giving out free months to new tenants, so why not me?" And she got it. So thinking of outside the box, and yes, that's a good point. Like we sometimes we do have to talk on the phone, and it's okay. The worst thing they could say is no, but you can try. But cutting expenses has a ceiling, right? So there's only so much you can cut. And looking at my clients' budgets too, it's like, all right, well, now what else can we do? And we have to look at increasing income. Like, how can we make more money? Can you ask for a raise? Can you do something on the side? Um, can you build some skills that would make you some money some way somehow? Because the we need to make more in order to do more. So somehow we have to figure out what that could look like for us. And I think starting with the expenses can help, but that can only help so much. But it's more increasing the income some way somehow would be how we can do that. And I can share for me how I increased my income was switching jobs sometimes. So I every time I left my corporate job, I got a decent sized increase in salary. And sometimes your job will match it if, let's say, you don't really want to go, but it's risky because you have to be ready to go in case they don't
Oh
match it.
yeah, of course.
So that was one of my how I started making more and more money and got up to my six figures. But every time I jumped, I got at least a $10,000 increase, and hopefully that would be the case. Um,
Well, and it's also smart to kind of remind people that, obviously we're coming to this from a luxurious position. If you are in a place where you can make that, if you can like start that conversation or whatever, not everybody is, we understand that.
yeah,
But yeah, I completely agree. Like, we're talking, there's a bunch of people in the chat talking about, how cost of living keeps going up and how a
yeah,
lot of these places that people work, even if you have a long term at that place, a lot of times their companies just aren't doing the cost of living adjustments like they used to. And I think as you were saying this, I was thinking to myself, okay, well, if you've crunched the numbers like we've talked about, you've started with where is my money actually going right now, then you can say, okay, I now looked at my budget and what's going on. I haven't had a raise increase we haven't had a pay increase in 5 years. Here's what the costs of things have gone up. And honestly, that can be a really good way to start the conversation of like, hey, I know we haven't had a cost of living adjustment in this long, but here's what I'm looking at, and I'm going to have to go look for other jobs because this isn't working. So now I'm down to the blah, blah, blah. But if you're coming in it from a perspective of like, here's the stats I'm looking at, and the math isn't mathing, this is where I'm working from, that can at least be a little bit more of a jumping off point than I need more money as like the entirety of the conversation.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think that's great too. Yeah, and you're gonna have the evidence and the numbers there to support your cause, because the cost of living is, even by me, it's rent is so astronomical. So I'm like, how do these young people out of school, how are they supposed to even like afford to live this life? So yeah, we got to be resourceful and do the best that we can with the evidence. And yeah, that's a good idea. So maybe Brian, I see your question in the chat. That might be a good idea for you as well. But again, it's like making sure you have a budget, make sure you know where your money is going, because that would help you streamline. Like, all right, am I using the money that I'm bringing in the most efficient way? But I also want you to remember, like, you have to enjoy your money too, right? If you can. But if they can adjust on the top side for you, that would be helpful.
yeah. We only have about 4 minutes left before we gotta kind of round off. But one thing that I always like to ask my guests, is are there any questions we haven't asked you today? Something that like nobody ever asks, but you really wish they would ask about this topic?
I think the biggest thing is like a lot of what we talked about. It's like really digging into asking yourself, what is the story that's running my financial life? Like, why am I in the place that I am? What are the habits that I'm having? But why am I doing these certain things? And also, this goes with anything in life. Like, I know even for me, I'm on a health journey, right? So it's like, why am I not sticking to my routines every Monday? Why am I not planning my meals? So it goes down to like something that's underlying in there and creating these habits. So I think um, the question I guess I'll pose back is more on what's running your money story, what's running the show, and just know that it's possible to change these narratives and to lean on other people who are doing it. I think that's something like I had to do because my story about struggling, it was more like, oh, Latinas. I don't see any Latinas with money in my family. They're not investing. They're not saving. So I had to look outside somewhere for evidence that this is possible for me. So it's like if you see somebody else who's successful or thriving, it's like what step into their, aura or identity. Like what is it that they think? What is it that they do? So I had to like really kind of the be do have framework that I have is more of just questioning, who do we have to become to have the things that we want at the end of the day? And that comes with that lends itself to money, but also to like everything you could want in your blissful life. So blissful vida is about holistic wealth. So wealth is not only money; it's about like all the pillars of your life and thriving in all of those successfully and in a balanced way. So I hope that
Yeah,
that.
of course. All right, we did have one last question that came in the chat. Kernard had asked has a question around career path, like finding the right environment that allows you to perform at your maximum potential while you balance work and personal life. In other words, what would you tell somebody who feels like they're gifted but they're in the wrong place? Kernard, I have been there like 400 times. So you again, Yana, all right, you are not alone in this one.
Oh my
What would you
God,
tell
that's
this
not
person, Erika?
me. I could say I worked in corporate in financial services for 20 years, and I felt exactly that. I was like, this is not where I'm meant to be. I am so meant for more. And what kept me stuck there was the security and the money and the income, right? But I think it was up to me to finally decide that I'm like, hey, this is not what I want to be doing anymore. I don't feel fulfilled. This is not serving me and my blissful life. So I think it's, there's a balance, right? Sometimes we need security and we need money, but we want to, service other people and do more fulfilling work. I'm not sure if that's what you mean, but it's more of, I guess, putting yourself out there. I don't know if I know like LinkedIn is a place to like look for jobs. I'm not sure if you're on there, but then leaning more into sharing on there maybe would help about the gifted part of your what you want to tap into, and maybe connecting with those organizations a little bit more, seeing where they're at. Maybe they're hosting conferences or things that you can attend where you can get in front of them, and then that will make it maybe a little bit easier to find yourself in the right place instead of thinking that you're in the wrong place. So kind of like getting yourself in front of the spaces. Like I know I wanted to move into nonprofit before I started Blissful Vida, so I was fundraising for nonprofits. I would attend their fundraisers. It didn't pan out for me, the nonprofit route, and that's why I started my own business. But I knew I wanted to do more fulfilling work. So I hope that that helps. It's kind of like okay, you want to be in the right place. So how do you literally put yourself, a person who works there, where are they showing up? Where are they going? What are they posting? What are they doing? That would be my advice.
I love that advice. And as somebody who did this at multiple positions in multiple industries over the years, the best thing that I ever did was keep a list of either, and sometimes it was hyper specific stuff of like, I cannot work someplace that smells like decaying chicken or whatever it was. Like that was a thing. So sometimes they were hyper specific. Other times it was if they describe themselves as like a big family, run screaming. So it sounds a bit negative, but for me, it helped to be like, okay, this is what I don't want in my next job. This is what I like. I can't be in this kind of situation or this kind of scenario. So that helped me to try and triangulate a little bit closer every time I make a hop of like, this is a little bit better in this area, but it's really bad in that one, and that's not going to work. So try kind of keeping a list so that way maybe you're a little bit more dialed in on where might be the right place for you or what exactly is making this not the right place for you. So just a thought. Okay, y'all, that is going to bring us to the end of time today. But Erika, thank you so much. This has been really wonderful. And it was far less painful than I thought it was going to be. I was really looking forward to it, but in a like stressed of like, I'm going to hear all of the things that I know I should be doing better. And so I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. And anyone here too, if you still have questions, feel free to reach out to me through my DMs. You have all my social media. I'll be happy to answer your questions through there as well. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Power to Fly, for hosting me in this money conversation. And remember, just go out there and thrive and live and fund your most blissful vidas. You're capable, you deserve it, you're worthy, all the good things. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Now don't forget, y'all, you just spent an hour doing something positive for yourself and yourself and your professional life, your financial life, all of this. It's not easy. So whether you're a little treat person or not, listen to Meg. Okay. Give yourself a cookie, gold star, pat on the back, coffee drink, maybe not Starbucks. That's all I'm saying. But whatever it is, please be nice to yourself today. Go out, have the day y'all voted for, and we cannot wait to see you back here on another fabulous Power to Fly chat and learn event. That's it, y'all. See you soon. Bye.